Okay, I figured I'd make a video about what we do to merits on Thanksgiving, and it starts way before that day. What we always do is make a brine for the turkey, and this is how we do it. I'm going to put a gallon of water in this pot. I already got one of these in there, so that's a total of a gallon. And then to that I'm going to add a cup of kosher salt. And I'm going to add a cup of brown sugar, dark brown sugar. And then I'm going to add some fresh rosemary. I don't like to use the stem, so just pick off these sprigs best you can. If you've never tried a brine, you need to, because it makes, not only does it make the turkey moist, but it flavors it on the inside, and you will not believe how flavorful the meat tastes until you try a brine. So let me just finish picking this off. Now this recipe is for pretty much, you know, a 20-pound turkey or so. This is all going to go into a 5-gallon bucket. But if you happen to need more liquid, for every gallon that you add, you need to add a half a cup of the kosher salt and another half a cup of the brown sugar for every gallon that you add. So I'm just going to pick all this off in here. And a lot of recipes, they just want you to put all this stuff in the cold water and put the turkey in. But what I do is I'm preparing this the night before. I'm going to actually brine it, because I'm going to take this mixture and I'm going to heat it up on the stove, because I want the salt and everything to melt and all these flavors to get through the water, so that it does its job better. Because if you don't do all this, when you go to get your turkey out of the brine the next day, all the salt's sitting at the bottom because the water was cold and it didn't dissolve. And trust me, because I've been doing this for a lot of years with the brine, and that's the only way we go now. Okay, so I got all that in there. Now I'm going to take, let me move over here. Now I'm going to take 3 lemons and 3 oranges and put them in here. Okay, so now that that's all in there, I'm going to put this on the stove. I'm going to bring it up to the boil, and then I'm going to shut it off and let it steep in there, let it come to room temperature, and then put it in the refrigerator overnight. And I'll be back tomorrow morning to show you how I put the turkey in the brine. Okay, so now it's time to put the turkey in the brine. So I got a 23-pound turkey, and don't forget to save the giblets and stuff for the stock, for the gravy. That's what I do. And I also cut off the end of the wings, because they're really no use anyway, and I throw them in there to help the gravy. So, okay, so we'll put the turkey in here with the opening up, the legs up, and then we'll pour this into the cavity, and then we'll add the extra gallon, because you need 2 gallons total of water. So this came out of the refrigerator. It's cooled off, so it's ready to go. that's it. Now we'll just close it up and let it sit in the refrigerator. I like to let it sit in there for about 18 hours, this size turkey, and then I'll be back for the next step. Well, it's early morning, and I gotta take this turkey out of here. It's been in for 24 hours, and really don't want it to go much more than that because it'll be too salty. So I'm going to take this out and then let it come to room temperature because we're going to cook it a little later. So I'll try to dump this in the sink. Do it from this side so you can see. And I'm going to put it over the other sink to give it a good rinse. I want to rinse it off so that all this extra salt and stuff. Oh, this is a good idea. You can actually see, if you look inside, the meat's a little bit darker, so it's taken on some of the flavor. Trust me, it's going to be good. So now we're going to let this sit. I want to let it, come up to room temperature. And later on we'll stuff it. Get it in the oven. Okay, it's about an hour before I'm going to put the bird in the oven, so I took the stuffing out of the refrigerator and I'm going to warm it up in the pan. This is a large bird, 23 pounds, so there's a few things that I got to do different. I'm going to warm this up because this way it'll give the stuffing a head start, otherwise it's never going to get cooked all the way through. So I'm going to put this on the stove and warm it up, and I'll be back all together. So now we're going to stuff the bird, and so this has been sitting. I know some people are going to go, oh, that's too much, but it's been sitting out for like 2 hours, and it's still cold to the touch. So the best way to do this is with your hands. And what I'll do is, I'll just loosely pack it in there. Try not to make a funny face when I'm doing this. Now you're gonna look at my face the whole time. It's hard to do stuff when I'm sitting down like this, but I want to get the bird in the middle of the frame on the camera, so I try to crouch down so you can see everything. So I'm going to finish stuffing this part, and then I'm going to truss this side, and then I'm going to go to the back and put some more in the neck area. What's up, Max?
What's up?
My son just woke up. Max, we got about 18 people coming.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And Jaden's coming?
Is he? Okay. 19. I thought we were going to have leftovers, but it looks like we're not, but that's okay. Okay, so nice thing about a butterfly turkey is they give you a nice flap here, but I'm going to go ahead and truss this closed because we're actually going to roast this turkey upside down to start. So let me clean off a little bit, wash my hands, and then I'll truss that side of the turkey. Okay, so I've got my favorite needle here. So I'm going to pull this together. Actually, I'm going to open these legs up so that I got some room to do this. Just going to put that loose because I know that the leg's going to cover this. Pull it in easily. Now this turkey's been brined, so I'm not too concerned about putting butter under the breast and all that. The flavor is going to be unbelievable without having to do all that extra stuff. A lot of people don't stuff this side, but again, I go to show you how this comes out. This is the best stuffing on this side here. Oops. Great. By the way, if you want to find a needle like this is actually a knitting needle. You could find them at the Walmart. Nothing special. Okay, one more. What I do is come back through the loop. It's getting a little short here. And go through again. So what you can do is pull it tight and then pull this, and that makes the knot for you. Okay, I'm going to clean up a little bit and then I'll show you how I put it in the oven. I'll be back. Okay, I got the leftover stuffing, and what I do is got some butter flavored spray. I'm going to line this with the spray and then put the rest of the stuffing in here. Now I got to keep in mind that I only got 30 minutes to cook this after the turkey comes out, so that's why I got 11 by 17, so I can spread it out thin so the heat will penetrate it. So I just set this in here loosely like this. And this will get covered with foil, and this will go in when the turkey comes out. So that's the stuffing. So this is the part where I'm going to put it in the oven. So what I got here is I broke down and bought, last year I bought one of these pans for like $8 instead of buying the foil and throwing it out all the time. And I actually find it better because you don't want to put the turkey all the way down in here because the dark meat won't cook. So I made a rack that fits on top like this so the air can circulate. So I'm going to take the turkey now . And I want to blot this off. I want to make sure this is nice and dry. Okay, so now the next step, I got this good and dry. Now I'm going to baste it with some vegetable oil. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over because that's how we're going to start cooking it. Pat it again. And then I'll baste this so now you could use butter, but the whole purpose of this is really just to brown the skin. And if you're watching your calories, the oil does just fine. It actually does better because it stays on the skin. And I'm not going to salt this turkey again because it's been brined. And that would just end up in the pan drippings, which would in turn make my homemade gravy too salty. You want to be able to bring the salt up to where you want it at the end of the cooking, because once it's in there you can't take it out. So I try to creep up on it. Okay, so this has been coated with the oil. And what I'll do is drippings to flare up, so I'm going to add half of this stock right now. And I'm going to mount it to this pan. You know, I'm going to go ahead and add the whole thing because I know it's going to need it. Because this is going to cook for probably about 4 or 5 hours. So what I'm going to do now, the oven's ready, just came up to temperature, that's what that was. I'm going to put it in. I set the oven to 375. I'm going to put it in the oven, and as soon as I close the door, I'm going to reduce it down to 325, and then I'm going to cook it like this for a couple of hours to get all this dark meat done. And then I'll flip it over for the remaining 3 hours and finish it off. So I'm going to put it in the oven now. Okay, now we're going to take the turkey out and turn it over with a little more of this oil on it. Tuck the skin back under there. Okay, so I got 2 thermometers. One I'm going to put in the turkey, in the stuffing, and the other one I'm going to put, I'll do it over here, inside the thigh. Make sure I don't touch the bone. And that's it, we'll put it back in and out. Okay, the turkey's come out, and it's 165, and my little thermometer there in the stuffing measures 160, and it took about 4.5 hours. So now we got all this pan drippings that we're going to strain to add to the gravy. Initially I added chicken stock to the pan, as you saw, but if I would have kept on adding that, it would have kept reducing and would have been too strong, so I followed up and I just added water from time to time. I probably added a good gallon in there during the whole cooking process. So now we're going to defat this, and we're going to add it to the gravy, and then we're going to taste it and do the final salt, and I'll be back. See, this is the part everybody fights over. Now, like I said earlier, this is going to be mixed with the stuffing that's already in the oven. Okay, so that's the back. Let me do the front. Nice thing about not using any trusses is you don't have any metal in here, you just pull the string out. This microphone is very sensitive, it hears everything. Got a bunch of people in the background because they're all waiting, they're all salivating over this. Okay, so now, that's good enough. First thing we'll do is we'll take the leg off. If you cut like that and just break it down, you'll get down to where the thigh is. Now a lot of people like to take that little oyster off on the bottom, but I saved that, that's for me, for later. So, now when you brine a turkey, the meat is it's gonna look darker right off the bat. Sometimes it may look like it's not done, but as long as you cook it to 165 degrees, it will be finished. So now we're gonna separate this. And then you can slice this up parallel to the bone. Okay, so that's the thigh. People like to munch on the bone, so I'll leave that there. Same thing with the drumstick. Take some meat off of it. Okay, then the next thing, take the wing off. Okay. This meat is so moist, it's just falling off the bone here. Some white meat out. This is the main part I get to. What we'll do is we'll find the breast. Down on one side. I ran out of memory when I was slicing the turkey, but you can see this is the part of the breast. After I took it off the carcass, I laid it flat on the cutting board and then just sliced it across the short way. So that's that. Hope you enjoyed it.